Hi, I'm Jojo Moyes.
And I'm Sophie Kinsella, and I'm here to interview Jojo about her new book, After You. So Jojo, the really exciting news is that you've been writing a new book, a sequel to Me Before You.
I have. It's called After You, and it picks up the life of Lou after the end of the last book. And I don't want to say too much about what happens because there's quite a big surprise happens about a quarter of the way in.
I cannot wait.
But let's just say that Lou hasn't entirely lost sight of Will's life.
Oh, it sounds so intriguing. And as someone who loved Me Before You, I can't wait to catch up with the whole story, the whole atmosphere of that book. I mean, how did it feel for you diving back in?
Well, I've never written a sequel, and I never had the faintest inclination. I've tended to leave my characters, you know, where I've parked them, and I've always worked on the basis that when I've got a couple together, they'd probably mess it up if I went back to them afterwards. Exactly, we don't want to know. Let's just leave them where they were. But a couple of things happened with this. One is that there was such a phenomenal response to Me Before You that every day I've been getting tweets and emails and messages on Facebook asking what happened to Lou.
I can imagine, yeah.
And then also working on the screenplay for the Me Before You film meant that these characters were still in my head. And I was wary, because you're very conscious, as you will know, that if you write a sequel, it's got to be a story that's at least as good as the original. But eventually I had one of those epiphanic 5:30 wake up in the middle of the night, kind of sit bolt upright and go, oh, that's what happened to her.
That's what happened.
And then I had to write it.
How wonderful. Has it been quite emotional going back into that story?
It's been so much fun.
Has
mostly,
it? Oh,
because
brilliant.
I loved Lou's family. I loved writing them so much. They're so funny. And as somebody who didn't do humour up until that book, the thing that I've loved about writing them is the humour kind of makes itself. I don't know if you find this with certain characters, that they're just naturally funny themselves.
They're just waiting to perform.
Yes,
and you just have to give them an outlet.
Whereas other characters, you write, you know that they couldn't be funny if you sat there for 6 weeks trying to think up a funny line. So Lou's father, you know, the playoff between her and her sister, all that stuff has been just a joy to write. And there's a few new characters as well who've been very funny. Lou joins a group of some kind. I can't say too much about it, but the characters in the group, it's really bad form to laugh at your own jokes, but I was laughing when I wrote them. Do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I kind of think a scene works for me if I've written it and written it and written it, and finally it makes me laugh out loud. I think, okay, that
And then
works.
do you laugh when you rework the line? Do you laugh every time you come back to it?
Oh, it depends how
funny it is.
You know, I wouldn't say every time, but I think, you know, if a scene works, it makes you chuckle.
Yes.
Even if you know what's going
coming.
to happen.
Yeah, well, I've had a few of those, and so I'm hoping that there's a couple of sad moments that I'm not going to
we would expect nothing else.
But I've really enjoyed the fun as well.
Oh, brilliant. And I mean, was it difficult to know who to catch up with? Did you edit any aspects of the first book out, or did you go in a particular direction? Because I personally find that a challenge. Like, well, who's going to come along for the ride? Who isn't? What's important? So, or was that all in your big idea?
No, I was really nervous before I started because I was trying to think, how do you do this so that it doesn't feel confected? But in the event, they were such a small cast of characters originally.
They were. Yeah.
And the story plotline that evolved meant that it was very natural that I would bring back pretty much everybody from the first book.
Oh, wonderful.
Pretty much everybody.
So it's... yes. So it's been a positive experience.
Do you know, it's been hard because I think the biggest difficulty is the weight of other people's expectations.
Yes.
Which is, you know, when you're very conscious
There's a lot of love out there.
There's a lot of love out there, and they're still giving it. So you're very conscious that you owe your characters a huge responsibility to tell the story in a way that people are going to like. And, you know, I'm still prepared for the fact that I don't know if people will like it. It's terribly nerve-wracking. It's more nerve-wracking than if you just write something from scratch. I mean, you must find this because people are invested in the characters.
Yeah, and people connect with them, feel they know them, and have an idea of where they might go.
Well, this is the thing that does concern me, is everyone is going to have an opinion about what Lou does next.
But you know what, they're your characters. It's your world.
Exactly.
So,
well, funny enough, I had a tea with Marion Keyes, who is another master of the sequel.
Absolutely.
And she's told me to exist in a bubble. She said, you can't think about what other people's expectations are.
You cannot write for other people. You're writing your world, and you have to write for your characters, if anybody. You know, that's who's guiding.
Yes.